Welcome to Tiger Wolf. I'm Josh, and this is David.
Please be aware, this podcast contains strong language and spoilers.
David, do you like dungeons?
Yes, do you like dragons?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I would have been concerned because you have a lot of dragon paraphernalia around the house, so...
I don't know if paraphernalia is the right word.
Homage?
Isn't paraphernalia just for, like, technically illegal things?
I don't think so.
No, it's not, is it?
No.
I don't know words.
I think it's...
Today on podcast, Josh no word do.
Oh, this is going to be a fun day.
Me am host, Josh. This also hosts, David.
So, we got Ghost of Saltmarsh released very recently for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And later this year, we have one that I am extremely interested in. Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. There are other, campaigns that pre-made campaigns that Wizards put out, plus several other additional source books. The fact that we got 2 campaigns this year, what do you think we're going to get next year? Do you think we'll get 2 source books or like
books with information?
He's going to do this the entire episode, isn't he?
There be what do you call them? Words. They tell story or no? So they've definitely been trying to balance their source book, adventure books, and also their adventure books. They've been balancing if it's old material that they're refurbishing, or if it's all new material, which because I think the new one that's coming out is brand new. Ghosts is a refurbishment, and as is of course Curse of Strahd. And I think the one I said before
Tombs
we
of
started.
Annihilation.
Yes, Tomb of Annihilation.
And then there's the Yawning Portal. It's a bunch of old bunch of old one shots put together, which is why I mentioned in Ghost of Saltmarsh. If you have that book also, you can take the castle from this adventure and stick it here to give your players another place to explore. You can take this adventure and add it here, which is, I think, kind of cool. But
I kind of wish it was in my Horde campaign that I'm playing. It would just make it easier for me. But I understand also why it's not there. If there was like moments in the book where it was just like, this would be a good place to put this type of interaction that involves this kind of player background. Yeah. Because it has player backgrounds.
Yes, it does.
In it. But it doesn't, it has yet, I should say, because I've only really done 2 areas. One was just a very long area, which is the first area of the book.
Yeah, you just finished the second chapter?
Yes. They're going to, I think, they're going to be sent up to Baldur's Gate and then back to the Dragon Hatchery. But it like just to help with, because this is the first time I've DM'd an actual adventure and not just been making shit up off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I'm doing okay with. I'm too used to making shit up off the top of my head because the world is what I make it then. And argumentatively, this is too. However, it's taking place in an established lore of a world already, and that's what I'm struggling the most with.
Yeah.
But just being able to know, to have the hint of like where a good plot hook moment might be.
Yeah.
Would help guide me to be a better DM.
Yeah.
I think. the beginner's guide to DMing would be a good
book, thing
for them to make, where it's just like some like small adventures and teaching certain ways of doing things and whatnot in those small adventures.
I mean, one of my
also Saltmarsh or the Yawning Portal might be good for that too.
One of the things I like. One of my best suggestions dealing with that sort of thing is get backgrounds from your characters. Not just, hey, I was an apothecary. Okay, give me a little bit more there. What city were you from?
There's a balance there that's hard to meet. Is like one of my players, like she had this whole backstory of how she used to be an assassin. I'm like, but you're not yet. Yeah, you're level 1. You're a level 1 rogue. You were not yet an assassin.
That's where you get player characters who have the background experience that they don't actually have.
Well, it's not just background experience too, but it's like build me a convincing background that I can use, that has enough openness for me to use. That's the hard part. Is like, because if you make a good background, it can be very closed off to adding hooks into the story.
Yeah. But that's where it comes in with, you have some players are better at it than others. Some eventually learn it really well after playing a couple of characters.
Mm-hmm.
You write, you come up with...
Most of my characters honestly don't have much of a background. Aris, he's
got enough there.
He's got plenty. But at the same time, the campaign he's in doesn't really need plot hooks like that.
Yeah, it doesn't need anything from his background. Whereas my character in that campaign, Fang, his entire background is based on the fact that he lost everything to undead things.
But yeah, so like, but there's also an openness to him, as there's not a whole lot of information about his race.
Yeah.
So I could kind of
play with it.
I could build it. I could make my own lore for it.
Yeah.
Because I love doing that kind of thing. And I think that's where I actually kind of struggle as a DM in a pre-made campaign like that. Or really like any campaign that's going to be distinctly set in something that's pre-made.
Yeah.
Like I could probably make my own world and set various different adventures in it for this, that, and the other, and use a lot of the material of D&D, like the big name things and whatnot, to do so, which I know is completely acceptable, but also a lot of fucking work.
Yes.
And I have a full-time job.
Plus this.
Yeah.
But
let's be honest, we just kind of throw this together.
Hey, we're trying to make it something better, though. We are. Right? Yes?
You're not supposed to confirm what I just said, David. Don't listen to him. We're totally planned everything. We had lists of, things when we talk about them sometimes.
I mean, we did have a list of episode ideas for today.
Yeah.
We did.
We used none of them.
True. That's not the point.
All right, let's put the veil back down.
So I would really like to see them go back to... I'd like to see them do an Oriental Adventures stuff dealing with Faerun. Because the original, the 3.5 edition was not set in Faerun. So
the focus of D&D 5e so far has been really hard on about
the Sword Coast.
The Sword Coast.
With the exception of like Tombs of Annihilation, because I believe that takes place on a different continent. And
does it?
I believe so.
Well, the Yuan-Ti are in the Sword Coast, so maybe not. It might just be further out from the coast.
But I mean, like Ghost of Saltmarsh, originally the city of Saltmarsh was set in the world of Greyhawk, not the world of Faerun.
Well, yeah. And that's also the kind of thing that they can just be like, because they've already got the map technically. Like they can't just be like, oh, new city here.
Yeah, but they actually give you, this is the place. If you're running in Faerun, this is the place where you can put it for it to make sense. Mm-hmm. If you're playing in Dragonlance, this is the place you can put the Ghost of Saltmarsh.
There's a setting.
if you're running in Eberron, this is where you can put it.
Okay. So, that's cool. But
there's a lot
I think it's going to be a
help
while
with Ghosts of Saltmarsh.
Honestly, I didn't even hear about it until like a month before it came out. But I think it's going to be a while before we get Oriental Adventures or something along those lines.
I'll be honest, I don't know if we're going to get it because they made Samurai
it will.
a martial archetype for fighter.
Do you think they might not retcon that a little bit? Like,
I don't know.
They'll probably just build on it if they like, because they have a whole world and they're really focused on this one rather slim stretch of land that is half water. Like
yeah. I mean, an interesting one you could do dealing with like specifically the Oriental area of Faerun. The mainland part is very medieval China.
There's no
with warring kingdoms.
The research I have done,
the island nation is very Edo period Japan with warring shoguns. So you've got a lot of
the research I've done is that most of the middle of the continent has been just wrecked house.
Yeah, it's the Horde lands
from some events that are not that far in the past.
Nope. They're really not.
Like a couple hundred years, I think is really what it is. And one of them happened for 200 years.
And that was the spell purge?
Yes, the spell plague.
Spell plague. With the blue flame.
Which really, like, according to the timeline of when 5e is supposed to be, and when that ended, like, you could literally have characters that dealt with that. Yeah. And I don't mean elves, necessarily. Like, gnomes. Like, anything that can live 100 years.
Yeah.
Technically, some humans.
Yeah, they'd be right there at the verge of turning into dust.
Well, it could also be the type of thing where they grew up with parents or grandparents that had to live through things.
Yeah.
That had to deal with it. I mean, sure, the end of it probably wasn't as bad as the beginning, but it was there.
Yeah.
Ow.
There are going to be ramifications of something that large. Going back to, let's say, Horde of the Dragon Queen, which leads into Rise of Tiamat. The end of Rise of Tiamat could very well shape a completely different Faerun for you as a DM and potential games you continue to run in Faerun if you kept it in a continuity.
Yeah, well, if I play with the same players, even if it's new characters, I'd probably want to have those as the history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These heroes stood against the goddess Tiamat. And maybe they fell. Maybe Tiamat was able to break free, and this new group of adventurers is trying to take her down.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If Tiamat does come through, it won't be for long. It's against the rules. No, it's literally against the rules of the gods. And I don't mean it's just against the rules. I mean, if she steps into the material plane as a god, she literally breaks reality.
Mm-hmm.
Gods are basically not allowed on the material plane anymore.
Yeah,
and IO will enforce that.
Yeah. Doesn't mean she's not going to have a little bit of time, because if you're eternal, you kind of become complacent. Let's be honest.
The fuck she does. Tiamat's anything but complacent.
No, other gods, particularly good gods, tend to become
good
complacent.
Gods are not very complacent usually either. They're just not actively trying to rule the world the same way evil gods kind of do.
No, there's actually, like, I've read the tail end of, like, the aftermath section for Rise of Tiamat. What happens if the players die? She wins. She gets out, and she rules the world. She awakens all of the chromatic dragons, gives them fervor, and they go forth and decimate.
I mean,
that's what happens if she wins.
That's a possibility if she wins that fight against those, the adventurers. But there's also, like, that's ignoring all the other things at play here. Like I just said, IO.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, he might not want to step into reality because of what kind of damage that would do, but that doesn't mean he can't avatar into it. That doesn't mean that
maybe he's the one that gathers the adventurers together.
His fucking guard dog god.
The
one that killed the goddess of magic because she basically was like, no, I need to talk to him now. And she hit him because she was angry. And then he was like, you done fucked up.
Starts with an S, I think.
I don't remember. But anyway, he could potentially send him through, or it like there could be like a team up of him, Bahamut, and you know what I mean?
Or being the fact that he wants to maintain
all of a sudden
balance.
there's a force of paladins hunting down Tiamat.
If he wants to maintain that balance as, being Io, being neutral, he could influence a group of mortal adventurers to do what needs to be done. Or he
could influence the giants to take back what's theirs from her.
Exactly. I mean, there are options there.
That's what I'm saying. Like what I'm saying is it doesn't have to be, oh, you're playing follow-up to your dead characters. What I'm saying is this could be 10 years later, and because your characters failed, this part of the land is scorched and covered in dragons. There's an ongoing war between these giants. Go fucking deal with it.
What's left of the remaining Sword Coast, which is probably just the north, and maybe a little bit of the actual
Nobody
coast.
wants Icewind Dale.
No, but that would be the only reason people would be there at this point.
Okay, refugees.
I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Though it doesn't have to, and even then, taking that into consideration, it could be 50 years later. She's already been beaten back into the void or wherever the fuck she's. The
first layer of
astral plane is
the Hells, Avernus, is where she's located.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought it was the void. I could have sworn it was the void.
No, she is in the first layer of hell in Avernus.
Like the first being the strongest, or the first being the very top?
The very top.
The most accessible.
The most accessible. She is on Avernus.
That doesn't make sense. She's not a demon or devil type.
No, she's just an evil dragon. 5-headed dragon.
Okay.
Hydra? Whatever.
I mean, regardless, like most of the gods have their own subplanes.
Most of them do, yes.
And she would be one of them.
She doesn't. She is in Avernus.
I'm going to have to look this up because I don't believe you.
Pause it real quick and let's look it up.
No. It doesn't matter that much. We don't need that for this discussion. My point is... Well, my point is it doesn't have to be them dealing with her at all.
Yeah.
It could be dealing with the aftermath because that's the way the world is now.
Yeah.
Like, it could be that the giants are now ruling shit because they won the war against her.
Mm-hmm.
It could be...
Excuse me.
It could just be that, like, there's a stalemate, and like I said before, and it could just be that, like, she got bored and left.
I don't think she would get bored.
What happens when you already rule the world? What do you do then?
She doesn't rule the world. There are still things defying her.
I'm saying if there wasn't any more.
Oh, I mean, well, if she took over for Faerun, well, there are other places she needs to go next. There are still other continents to take over.
Is there? Because we can't even get a full fucking 5e map of Faerun.
We have a full map of Faerun. We don't have a
Not
full
a
map
5e.
Of the continent Faerun is a part of.
Faerun's the whole continent. Faerun's the name of the continent.
I thought it was started with a T, the whole continent.
That's the world.
Oh, that's the world? Okay. Well, because the eastern edge is referred to as something not Faerun, something independent of Faerun.
I might be wrong. It's
the way it's broken down in the Sword Coast.
My understanding was the continent was Faerun, not the region, and the Talus.
I think it's Talus
is the world.
I didn't read the Forgotten Realms books
Neither did
that
I.
much, except for a few with Drizzt.
I didn't read any of Drizzt, and I read Evermeet.
I read
the elves.
I read a few of Drizzt,
which was the elves vacating to Faerun.
And then I read, we both read mostly Dragonlance. So if they were to
that would be the one. That's the one I want.
Campaign.
That's the one I want.
I mean, I have the 3.5 edition sitting in storage.
Yeah, I'm not trying to convert that.
So I mean, if y'all
because in converting that isn't just
some numbers.
Isn't just the numbers. There's been things that have changed on that world.
Well, that covered up to Mina.
Till Mina, not after Mina.
That covered up till Mina.
Which was impressive, but also like I don't know if there's been any books in Dragonlance really since the Mina the things.
I think there's been one trilogy since the Amber series.
But still, like, they would logically be changing things up for it. So it's not the same static world. Otherwise, we just use the 3.5 setting.
Yeah.
Because all that really does is set the expectations
It gives you a map.
Well, it's a lot more than that. It's about 150 pages, and all of them are maps. No.
It gives you maps. It gives you some additional player... What would be additional player races exclusive to
like how the rules are different for like dragons are smaller.
Dragons are smaller. You know, those things. You know.
Yeah, because magic works differently.
Yes, it does. You know, if you took a character from
and you can
Rune,
it can happen,
and drop them in Kryn, they might not be able to do anything anymore. Their magic may not work if they're a wizard.
If they're a paladin, their god's not there in any sense.
Unless by some weird stroke of, a weird stroke of stuff, they followed
a Dragonlance god.
Dragonlance deity in Faerun.
I mean, technically that could happen.
There are versions of corresponding, like Bahamut and Paladine.
Yes, but they're not the same.
They're not.
They're specifically
not
the same.
The
one I always confuse with Tiamat is Takesis.
Mm-hmm. Because both of them
are five-headed chromatic
dragon evil goddesses.
And Bahamut and Paladin are both platinum dragons.
Yeah. But then you get into others like Rorax and Sargonis. I don't know why I went to those two specifically, but
because those are two of our favorites. Not Astinus. What's the god's name?
Yeah, it's Astinus.
No, Astinus is the scholar who we think is probably Glean. Glean's avatar.
It is Glean.
I don't think it is.
You will never convince me otherwise.
I don't know. I don't think it is because of when Raceland succeeds.
Just like you will never convince me that Raceland devours the gods.
I think it is because of when Raceland devours the gods.
Raceland's Majir. He is.
No.
We'll have this argument at the end of days.
There's no precedent for that. There's no in any way, shape, or form is that confirmed. Just because he has the same last name as a god doesn't mean he is that god. Because guess what? Caramon and their father also had that same last name.
I'm saying.
Maybe it's Caramon.
No.
Why not? Why does Raceland deserve it over Caramon?
Because I believe
Majir's a good god.
He's the father of the magic gods.
No. Galeen, Paladine, and Takesis are the parents of the magic gods. They're cousins.
I don't know. I still feel like it's got to be Rassilon. It has to be. I don't care if he's a good god. Rassilon was a good person at one point when he was like 3.
More like after he destroyed everything and was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this.
This was a terrible idea. Damn, Kinder was right. But I mean, where else would you like to see them go? Would you like to see more old adventurers brought back?
I think that they're going to stick with at least one adventurer a year, probably 2, and a source book. I don't know where they're going next for the source book, and that's the hard thing. I don't know. I think it's going to be a little while before they make an actual separate setting, which technically Oriental Adventures was. Dragonlance is.
I mean, they did make the campaign setting for Eberron already.
For what?
Eberron, where shifters are from.
Oh, I guess it did.
So,
kind of. What was it called?
It's the whole
book
completely dedicated to everything that goes on in Eberron.
And they have Ravnica, too.
Yeah, they have the Ravnica.
I didn't think about that.
The Ravnica stuff.
Do you think Greyhawk will be next or Dragonlance?
I feel like it'll be Greyhawk. I feel like because of Saltmarsh, it's going to be Greyhawk.
And because it's a mainline D&D campaign setting?
Yeah. I believe they were testing the waters with Ghost of Saltmarsh to see if people wanted to go back to Greyhawk.
Dude, right now, D&D is so popular, they can probably just make whatever they want as long as they maintain their quality.
Yeah. I feel like they were probably testing to see if players wanted a return to Greyhawk. Because that was the primary one for a long time until the popularity of Drizzt and Faerun happened.
So I think that because we have a new adventure coming in the Avernus, and I think next year we'll probably get one rehash and one new one.
Okay. I mean, that's basically what this year was. It was Ghost of Saltmarsh.
Pretty sure that's what last year was too.
And Avernus. So
because it was, I don't remember what the other one was for last year, but last year's when Tomb of Annihilation came out.
I think Ravnica. Actually, Ravnica came out this year too.
Anyway, long story short, Wizards, if you're hiring, let me know. I'll move back to Seattle.
I would like another. I'd like another source book, but I don't feel like they're going to revisit like the Book of Exalted Deeds or the Book of Vile Evil or the Libra Mortis.
Why not?
I don't feel like they're going to do that because the Exalted Deeds and Vile Evil, although they both dealt with, dealing with like extreme good and, all that stuff. And there were prestige classes in both of those. There are chunks of that book that were related to prestige classes.
Guess what they replaced with prestige classes with? New archetypes.
Yeah,
which they already have ongoing in Unearthed Arcana anyway.
Yep.
This is just places for them to officially publish them.
Yeah,
and guess what?
I don't know if they're going to go with
both of those two Bard ones that we were looking at would kind of probably fit in the Book of Vile Evil.
Probably. At
least one of them would.
Because I think
Shadows? Was it Shadows?
Yeah.
College of Shadows?
College of Shadows. But like the
other one was like Daggers. Anyway.
Mordenkainen's
Tomb of
Foes, I think is this edition's version of the Fiend Folio.
Probably. We have Volo's Guide to Monsters, which is a nice. I would like more of this because it goes. Hey, you know this monster? You know this monster, right? Let me tell you all about this monster. Let me tell you everything you could possibly want to know about this monster. If you wanted to make a campaign setting about just dealing with these monsters, here's all the different ways you can do that. Mm-hmm. I know all about a Null Warband now. You want to know things about a Null Warband, David?
And like Volo is a character in the world. Potentially.
Source Mordenkainen.
Yeah, potentially your PC.
Isn't Mordenkainen the one writing the notes in Volo's book?
I think he's adapting some of the notes in Volo's book.
No, he's making making notes like he's clearly speaking past his knowledge here or some shit like that. Like he kind of pokes fun at Volo in it.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think it's Mordenkainen.
People are and have been
also
actual.
Doesn't he actually have spells that are named after him?
Yes. He's actually referenced in Ghost of Saltmarsh.
Must be an elf then.
No, he looks like a human. Let me phrase that. He looks human.
Well, I'm just saying, if he's got spells based after him, unless these are supposed to be like older books, he probably existed a long time ago and made these things.
Yeah, I'm just saying, these were characters in this universe. And depending on when you have your campaign set, potentially you could meet these characters. If you're playing in Faerun, there's a chance, depending on what you're doing, of meeting Drizzt. I would feel terrible for your party if that happened, especially if they were on the wrong side of those
There's an Acquisitions Incorporated that they did where what's his name? The DM, Chris Perkins.
Yeah,
wasn't DMing; he was playing. They were switching out who was DMing in that.
Yeah,
and he got to play Drizzt.
Yes,
because that's his like favorite character.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of iconic characters that depending on what you're doing, you can introduce them into your story. I'd like to see. I would
feel awkward doing that, like just because like they have an established personality. You want to fit in line with that, but at the same time, they didn't with Drizzt and that reference I just made to the act. But it was also a one-off like goof thing.
Yeah, it was just.
It wasn't like canon.
Yeah,
to their adventurer team.
Yeah, but I mean, it's little things like that. Maybe we could get a deeper exploration of the Underdark than just what's in.
So one of the cataclysms is the reason why the Underdark is, and why it's gotten much big. And no, it's why it's gotten much bigger. Yeah.
Wasn't that also the spell thing?
I think it was the beginning of it.
The beginning of it.
The thing that happened when the what the fuck are they called? When he accidentally destroyed fucking everything just about in the middle of the continent.
Yeah.
It warped the material plane such that stuff.
There were cities that traded places with other cities in other realms when that happened.
Oh yeah, like there's a whole like mountain range that was like cracked open.
Yeah. And this is why player characters no longer have access to above 9th level spells.
Bastards. I mean, it ain't really before so much either.
Well, I suppose that's the end of the episode.
Please like, comment, follow, and share. And also, more importantly, thank you for listening.
Take care.
Bye.